Dawn lived with me for a little over 4 years. Recently, she left her physical body behind to start the next phase of her journey. She will be missed, as she already is, but mostly we're grateful to have gotten the years we had with her, and to have given her a life full of snuggles. In her memory, I'd like to share a bit of her story, the part of it that I played a role in. I adopted Dawn when she was 7.5 years old. She was born in 2008, which for context is the year I graduated from high school, and I found her in December 2015. I had graduated college and was living on my own. My previous cat had passed on months before, and I wasn't looking for a new cat right away. But in December, my friend posted online that our local animal shelter was waiving adoption fees for adult cats and dogs for that week only. I looked online, went to the page listing adult cats, and Dawn was the first one on the list. The name Dawn itself has a special connection for me, and the fact that she was a black cat, described as calm and loving to snuggle, and that she would require a one-cat home made her my immediate choice. Sierra, the cat I had before, had also needed a one-cat home. Dawn was recommended to go to a home with no small children or other pets, that would be quiet and low-key, and I felt uniquely suited to provide such a home since I was already used to and prepared for that setup with a cat.
You almost fell over.
I messaged the shelter to let them know I was interested in adopting Dawn, but that I wasn't free to come visit until that Sunday, the last day that the fees were being waived. I was worried that someone else might adopt her first, to be honest. I wanted them to know I was coming to get her. They assured me that the website would update automatically whenever an animal was adopted, and that Sunday should be just fine, because most people weren't interested in her, for reasons they said they would discuss with me in person if I came by. I checked the website every day, sometimes multiple times a day, to see if she had been adopted. Sunday came, and she was still there, so I went in. When I arrived, the cat's room was full of people, families with little kids, being loud. I went in to see Dawn in her kennel, and she wouldn't come out of hiding. I started to worry. What if she didn't like me? What if I wasn't the right home for her after all? A short while later, the families cleared out, taking their excited children with them. When I was alone in the cat room and went up to Dawn, she immediately came out and started rubbing against my hand through the bars. I realized then that it was the noise of all the people that had caused her anxiety and made her not want to come out, and it sunk in exactly why they specifically recommended she go to a quiet, childless home with no other animals. I went to the front desk and told them I wanted to adopt her. They took me into a small room and brought her in to observe and make sure that she would take to me first. It took a minute, during which she hid in a small box in the room, but then when the volunteer left to observe through a window, Dawn came out and climbed into my lap. The volunteer left for a moment and came back with her adoption file. They told me, other than being an adult cat and most people wanting to adopt kittens, the main reason people had been uninterested in Dawn was that she had a medical condition. It was nothing serious, but something they had to let people know about. I looked at them and said, "Let me guess. She has a mild heart murmur?" "How did you know that?" The volunteer looked confused. I said, "Because that's exactly what my last cat had. She also needed a quiet, one-cat home, and that's why I thought this would be perfect. So it makes sense that they'd even have the same medical condition." Then we laughed, and they had me fill out the paperwork. I took her home that day.
Baby girl, are you comfy? Can't even see you. Are you comfy? What are you doing?
Luckily, my job at the time left me with Mondays off, so the entire next day I spent helping Dawn acclimate to my apartment. She would only come out of her crate if I was literally on the floor, so I got a blanket and pillow and a book and laid flat on the floor for the rest of the day, reading, napping, or just watching her. When I was laying down, she would come out and explore the room. When I got up, she would hide. In the next few days, she got used to that room and then the whole apartment. Soon, she was in her element. She always hid when other people came over. She was only really comfortable around me. Over the years, though, she warmed up to some people who she saw repeatedly and got to trust. My current partner was one of the people she warmed up to the quickest, which I know has always been a point of pride for them. My mom didn't see the cat at all the first time she visited after I got her, but during later visits was able to see her and then eventually get to pet her. She was slow to trust people, but once she was comfortable, she was a big snuggle bug.
You cozy? Why you keep moving?
When I got her from the shelter, another document in her file was a letter from her previous human. Dawn was not a rescue, but an owner surrender, meaning her previous owner had to make the difficult choice to give her up. The letter explained that their household had multiple cats, and while Dawn used to be a total lap cat who loved to be around her people, a new cat started bullying and chasing her, and she retreated to get away from them. It often led to her hiding away all day, never getting to be with her people because she was afraid of the other cat. It was this difficult situation that led her previous owner, who the shelter volunteers had described to me as a big, tough-looking man who was as sweet as could be, to make the decision to put her up for adoption, though he was truly heartbroken over having to let her go. I don't know that man's name or where he is now, but I'd like to address him now too. I have never had to give up one of my fur babies the way that you did, and I can only imagine how difficult that decision was to make. Your letter, which I found extremely helpful, not only mentioned her favorite brand of cat treats, but told of the Dawn you knew, who was a loving lap cat, always wanting to be with you. You wrote, in first person, as though it were Dawn herself writing, that you wished for her to find a home where she could be herself again, where she wouldn't feel the need to hide all day long by herself and could once again be the affectionate cuddle bug you knew her to be. Well, dear stranger, wherever you are, I want you to know that she was that cat again, and she had almost another 4.5 years of cozy cuddles and being the only cat in charge. She did continue to hide from strangers in the house, but honestly I don't blame her, I do the same thing. But when it was just us, or a select few others who she grew to trust, she was the Dawn you knew. And I and my partner feel nothing short of privileged to have been able to know her for the last several years of her life.
Dawn, Nate's almost home, and we haven't gotten out of bed except to go to the bathroom. Are we mad about it, though? Nah.
If you can believe it, she even spent a year as an older sister to a dog, who, though many times her size, was an ideal match in temperament because she acknowledged Dawn's boundaries, and while she loved her and wanted to be close, only got close when Dawn allowed it, and the rest of the time kept a respectful distance. It was an experiment we weren't sure would work, but when Dawn climbed up into bed the first night and shared the space, curled up next to me as usual, with the dog a suitable distance away at the foot of the bed, we knew they would be okay. Sometimes, though I never got a picture, they even touched noses. We were there with her at the end. She was never alone for a minute, and while she finally passed quietly late one night, her personality still shines through the darkness. In my own darkest times, she was a light for me too. Maybe that's why you named her Dawn. And I'm glad you did. It was partly her name that drew me to her, like a signpost telling me I was the person who was supposed to give her a new forever home. I never changed her name. It was hers. I can only imagine how hard it must have been for you to do what you did in giving her up. I don't know if they ever informed you that she was adopted, or when. According to her file, she was only in the shelter for 3 months and 3 weeks before I took her home. She then spent over 4 years with me in a few different homes, but always in my care, always the only cat. And she will remain in all of our hearts and in our memories. Thank you for doing what you thought was best for her, and for giving me the opportunity to know her and share her with the world.
What you doing, Dawn? Oh my goodness. What's happening? Ah.
Dawn, would you like to tell Nate what you're doing? Oh, now you be quiet. Come out. So here's to Dawn, a black cat, a snuggly goofball, a Gemini, an old lady who was officially a senior by cat years, a constant companion, a lap cat, an independent feline who drew clear and healthy boundaries. She didn't like being picked up, and she would let you know when she wanted to snuggle. It was always her choice, not ours, and we respected that. Here's to Dawn, who daily, almost like clockwork, would run around the upstairs like wild, chasing ghosts and yelling at things we couldn't see, who would talk to us from the stairs when it was time for bed and we were staying up too late, cutting into her snuggle time, who would wait for me outside the bathroom on the hallway rug every night, whose heart condition, by the way, never did cause her any trouble, and stayed mild until her last days when she decided it was just time to go, who was our light and our comfort, just as we were hers, who was beautiful in all ways. We remember Dawn, because what is remembered lives.